Hey there, welcome to day 29 of our free 30-day Get Up and Go challenge to make change and challenges automatic, to make them as easy as breathing. Today I want to talk about something that we've talked about throughout the challenge, frameworks. Frameworks are ways of framing or looking at things differently or more simply in order to help us understand complicated things more easily. We've used a lot of frameworks during the challenge. First framework and one of the first frameworks we used was the physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution. A framework for looking at our complicated, different, diverse areas of our life. And then again, I added communication and confidence this year. So it's now a 9-step framework instead of a 7-step framework. Frameworks allow us to take complicated things and simplify them. I do a lot of business coaching and business consulting of strategic business frameworks. And there's a whole lot of different really complicated ones. You can Google them if you want. I don't really use any of the super complicated ones, but the simpler ones that put things in a grid pattern and allow us to explain things to people that we're working with in a more organized, simplified way are really, really powerful. And we've used several in the challenge. We've used the SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. I've used that framework since I was in college. We talked about the journalistic framework, who, what, where, when, why, and how. I've used that one since I was in high school, and I still continue to use it today. We used certain frameworks to describe problem-solving tools. The SOAP framework is, of course, a framework that I made up to simplify understanding how we deal with changes and challenges and how we can make them automatic. Affirmations are actually a framework. The way that we go through them is a framework. The I am, why is it so easy for me? How can I blank? Those are frameworks or tools. I guess frameworks are really tools, just like tools in a toolbox, to help us understand the world around us better and to do things we want to do faster, easier, more efficiently, and effectively. Nominal group technique is a framework for analyzing unlike alternatives, as is the urine analysis. What else have we got for frameworks that are handy that we've talked about? We talked about, again, lifeline exercise. That is a framework in that we can take a complicated thing like all the different events of our life and we can map them out on a timeline and look at them and look for connections and patterns and things that make sense to us. The head heart intuition, that's another framework for comparing unlike alternatives. I think of tools like memory tools are frameworks. Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet. The way to remember the colors of a spectrum. We've been learning and using frameworks since we were little children, and we continue to use them today. Plan, Do, Check, Act is another framework that I learned in college that I still continue to use today because it's a 4-step, really simple way of making sure that when we're solving a problem, we consider all of the important elements in solving that problem. DISC analysis, Myers-Briggs, those are tools, but they're also frameworks for understanding complicated human behavior, ours and other people's. What are some other frameworks that I love and use all the time? There's so many. There's so many complicated ones. I scratched out some graphs and some different business ones, different business strategic frameworks. And I'm like, I'm not even going to talk about these because they are so complicated. You know, there's the Tracy Werner value disciplines. There's the Ansoff matrix, the BCG's matrix. There's the market share matrix. There's Hambrick's and Frederickson's strategic demand matrix. There's Arena's Singing vehicles differentiation. There's the Porter 5 forces matrix. There's so many different tools and frameworks and matrices that we can use. One of my favorite people who uses drawings and simplification and matrices and frameworks in their work is Russell Brunson. He's an online marketer. He's written 3 or 4 books now that he sketches out and draws things, and he breaks things down in very simple ways. He's not the first person to do this. Of course, there's other people that have done this, and I should know the name of their books right now, but I have a head cold and it is messing with my brain. But there's lots of sources of people that simplify things and make them easy for us to understand. And we, each and every one of us, have our own go-to frameworks that we refer to all the time. Like I said, I do excuse me, problem solving, decision making, plus and minus. Those are all frameworks, ways we can simplify and understand things better. So tools, formulas, acronyms are all really, really helpful. So if you're doing a framework, if you want to create your own framework for something you're teaching other people, they're very valuable in teaching other people a system or a process too, and helping them to make it their own and understand it. But there's 6 key elements in a strategic framework. Number 1, you want to define your vision. What do you want the framework to do? For example, the life framework, it's a way of breaking our life down into categories so that we can actually set goals and objectives and think about and manage the different areas and aspects of our life, because our lives are complicated. I don't know anybody that's going to tell me their life isn't complicated, but we have a vision for our life. And if we use a framework like physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, financial, relationships, contribution, communication, and confidence, if you want to add those, if we use that framework, it becomes easy to set goals and objectives and then break them down into smaller pieces in order to achieve them and make progress for them at any given time. Number 2, we want to have a mission. What is our mission? What is our mission for our life and our business? What is our mission for, what is our vision? What is our mission? What are our objectives? What do we want to accomplish in our life? And like I said, I like to do it for each of these areas and aspects of my life. Then we want to develop our strategies. Our strategies support our objectives, which support our mission, which supports our vision. And then we want to outline our approach. How are we going to go about it? What are our action steps? And then finally, what are our tactics? We want to get down to the tactics. So tactics feed to approach. Approach feeds our strategy feeds our objectives feed our mission, and our mission feeds our vision. And frameworks help us to, and those are the elements of a framework. If we have a 4 to 6 step framework that helps us to understand and explain better to other people what it is that we're trying to teach them or learn or explain. Almost every coaching guru these days has their own framework. Now, what's interesting, if we break down frameworks, there really is only a 4 to 6 step process for any framework across any industry, across any business. And the SOAP framework is no different, right? It's a 4-step process. Story, what's the situation? What is it now? What do you want it to be? O, options. What are all the different possibilities that we can get from here to there? A, we have to take action, so we need to decide what we're going to act on and then take action. And then P, progress. We have to see, are we making progress to move toward what we want? Anytime we want to get anything that we want in life, it really breaks down to those 4 steps. What do we want? Really define what we want. What are the possible ways of getting there? Let's take action on one and then see if we're making progress toward it. And then we just repeat that process over and over and over again. So that's my little bit on frameworks today. I want you to share today as our action and think about some of the frameworks that we've used, but I want you to think about some of the frameworks that you use in your industry or in the business you're in or in your family. Families have frameworks. Families have chore charts or relationship interaction frameworks. Families have ways of doing things over and over again. So share in the comments below your personal right now favorite framework. My favorite framework changes over time. The last year and a half, it's been the SOAP framework. That's been my favorite. But prior to that, I used the Plan, Do, Check, Act, physical, mental, emotional, spiritual, finances, relationships, and contribution. That's been one of my favorite frameworks for, since the late 70s, early 80s. So share in the comments below just your favorite framework. That's it. And then get ready tomorrow. We're going to do a quick summary. I decided already, and lessons learned from the challenge. And then we will finish off on Sunday, our day 31, doing a wrap up to see how far we've come. And tomorrow I'll do a call for questions and answers so that we make sure you get your questions answered about this entire process, the SOAP framework, how it works for you, how you can continue to make it automatic. Practice is how we make things automatic. That's it. Go out, have an awesome day. Questions, ask. Otherwise, I'll be with you tomorrow.